Daily Star, 20th of March 2024, India-Bangladesh border, promise of zero deaths is void because of illegal immigration. Many immigrants from Bangladesh travel across the Indian border to live a better life in India. Despite repeated promises from the state level to completely eradicate these deaths, there has been a steady increase in the past 3 years along the border between Bangladesh and India. The pattern persisted this year when 2 Bangladeshis, a member of the Border Guard Bangladesh, BGB, and another, were reportedly killed by BSF gunfire in January during operations against unauthorized crossings near the borders of Jashore and Lalmonirhat. Ain O Shalish Kendra's data, produced primarily on media sources, shows that 31 individuals were murdered in BSF gunfire last year, the highest number since 2020 when 47 Bangladeshis were slain along the border. This year's January 22 murder of BGB Sepoy Mohammad Roy Sudden provoked protests and outcry on the other side of the border. This event highlights the Indian Border Guards, the Border Security Force, BSF, once again. They are trigger-happy. According to Kirti Roy, Secretary of Banglar Manabadhikar Suraksha Mancha, Masoom, a West Bengal-based Muslim rights organization, the BSF authority cannot act in an executioner's capacity. 3 days after Roy Sudden's death, Masoom released a statement in which it requested for an investigation by the Human Rights Commissions of Bangladesh and India to be conducted together and urged international human rights organizations to speak out against the systematic killings carried out by BSF. Indian Border Security Force, BSF, and Border Guard Bangladesh, BGB, are now holding a 5-day 54th Director General, DG, level border meeting in Dhaka to examine various border security matters. Today is the last day of negotiations. India and Bangladesh share the 5th longest land border in the world, spanning 4,096 kilometers. A sizable portion of the border is still unfenced, and specific border crossing locations are notorious for illegal immigration and the smuggling of goods, including cattle and drugs. Rights organizations and the relatives of the victims have refuted the BSF's frequent assertion that its personnel use lethal force in self-defense, arguing that this is not always the case. Farooq Faisal, the executive director of ASK, demanded a cooperative inquiry to determine the actual reason behind the BSF shooting and to take steps to stop similar killings from happening again. He remarked that it is unacceptable for Indian border guards to kill citizens of Bangladesh in this manner. According to ASK data, BSF members killed at least 23 and 18 Bangladeshi nationals in 2022 and 2021, respectively. The rights organization claims that of the 73 Bangladeshis who have died in the last 3 years since 2021, at least 60 were shot, and 6 died as a result of torture. The Prime Ministers of Bangladesh, Sheikh Hasina, and India, Narendra Modi, decided to strive toward a zero figure for deaths due to incidents during a bilateral summit on September 6, 2022. In March 2011, during a DG-level meeting between the BSF and BGB in New Delhi, it was decided that the BSF would use non-lethal weapons in addition to normal ones at certain border crossings. If the testing were successful, India would utilize non-lethal weaponry throughout the Bangladeshi border, according to a BGB news release at the time. Since then, the BSF has consented to employ non-lethal weapons at several high-level discussions between the two border forces. Nonetheless, the killing on the border has not stopped. Foreign Minister Hussain Mahmood told reporters on February 12 that Dhaka and Delhi had reached an agreement on the use of non-lethal weaponry to end border deaths during a recent visit to India. 5 days after the briefing, on February 17, local BGB members said that 24-year-old Bangladeshi fisherman Jahangir Alam was shot in the right elbow by the BSF while fishing in Chapanawabganj, close to Indian territory. Raiful Islam Tuklu, a citizen of Bangladesh, was shot and killed by the BSF in Lalmonirhat's program Upazila on January 28 after he entered India. Furthermore, inconsistent remarks were made by BSF and BGB following the passing of BGB member Roy Sutton. In a statement released on January 24, the BGB Jashore Battalion stated that on January 22, at around 5:30 am, a BGB patrol squad stopped some livestock traffickers trying to enter Bangladesh from India. As the BGB group pursued the smugglers, they attempted to escape, and in the thick fog, Sepoy Roy Sutton lost sight of his group. The statement states that later on, it was discovered that he had been hurt in a BSF firing and was receiving treatment at a hospital in India when he passed away. A BSF Jawan opened fire in self-defense after being accosted by a bunch of cattle traffickers, according to AK Arya, the South Bengal BSF's public relations officer, who spoke with the Daily Star recently. A livestock trader wearing a t-shirt and lungi was injured in the firing. After being brought to the hospital, he passed away. Afterwards, BGB submitted a picture of the man, who was later identified as the missing member. He said over the phone, "From our end, the matter is still under investigation." However, the Indian human rights organization Masum stated in a statement that there is no proof Roy Sutton assaulted BSF officers and that his murder was not a form of retaliation. In response to a question regarding the ongoing border killing and India's pledge to eliminate it, AK Arya stated, "BSF Jawans use non-lethal weapons, but when criminals attack them, they use lethal weapons in self-defense. Border killing is entirely unexpected," according to former Foreign Secretary Tahid Hossain. He said, BSF, could have detained the BGB member, produce him before a court instead of taking the law into their own hands about the BGB member's murder. "I'm not sure whether there are any other borders in the world where so many people lose their lives. Even the boundaries between two warring nations do not see a high death toll." Lieutenant Colonel Ahmed Hussain Jamil, the commander of the BGB's Jashore Battalion, declined to comment due to an ongoing inquiry. The BGB's press contact person, Lieutenant Kal A.M. Zahid Pervez, Director of Operations, did not return our calls or texts. When contacted, Mohammed Mukhlisur Rahman Sarkar, an additional secretary, Ansar and Border Wing, was recommended to the Daily Star by MD Mustafizur Rahman, Senior Secretary of the Home Ministry's Public Security Division. When contacted, Mukhlisur stated he was not the appropriate person and requested that this correspondent communicate with another secretary, AKM Tipu Sultan, Political and ICT Wing. Tipu Sultan declined to comment, stating it was not the appropriate time to address the issue. Despite several tries, Home Minister Asaduzzaman Khan did not answer the phone.